Welcome back. Tonight, we drift through the sleepy streets of Vienna. So wherever you are, however your day has been, you have nothing to do now but rest. There are no twists tonight, nothing to follow, nothing you need to remember in the morning. A city of green domes and pale stone, growing hushed under a soft fall of snow, will drift slowly, in no hurry to be anywhere at all. If these journeys help you rest, you're welcome to follow along, but only if you'd like to. And if you're listening now, leave the name of your city and the time where you are. Wherever you're listening from, you're in good company tonight. So let yourself settle. Let your shoulders soften, and let your eyes close whenever they're ready. Breathe in slowly, and let it go. There's no need to stay awake for any of this. Just let the streets of Vienna come to you. Consider a city that resolves to shed its ancient skin, to cast off the very structures that once defined its security for centuries. Vienna was long held within the formidable embrace of its medieval fortifications, which stood as a testament to its strength against the outside world. But as time invariably alters the meaning of power, new forms of artillery in the mid-19th century rendered these stone ramparts strategically obsolete. They had transformed from a protective shield into a restrictive cage, preventing the city from expanding into its own future. Consequently, in 1857, Emperor Franz Joseph I issued a momentous decree, ordering the walls to be dismantled. This singular act did more than simply erase a boundary. It carved a vast, circular void around the historic city center. This newly created space, once a zone of defense, became a blank canvas, upon which a grander, more open Vienna would be conceived, with the magnificent Ringstrasse as its first and most defining brushstroke. The waterway that flows through the heart of Vienna, the one you observe from the old city, presents a gentle and well-behaved facade that holds a quiet secret. This placid channel is not the true Danube, which for centuries was a wild and unpredictable force of nature. The great river would frequently swell with alpine meltwater, inundating the lowlands, and threatening the city with its raw, untamed power. In response, Vienna undertook a monumental feat of engineering in the 1870s to finally tame its river. The main current was systematically redirected and pushed away from the city center, while a new, calmer channel, the Donau Canal, was created in its place. This project not only controlled the devastating floods, but also created valuable new land for the expanding city, forever altering Vienna's relationship with the water that gave it life by replacing a wild neighbor with a quiet, predictable friend who maintains a respectful distance. Sometimes the entire identity of a city can be traced back to a single, almost accidental discovery that occurs in the wake of conflict. The story of Vienna's celebrated coffeehouse culture begins in the immediate aftermath of the 1683 siege. As the retreating Ottoman army abandoned their camps in a hurry, they left behind strange sacks filled with dark, unfamiliar beans. The Viennese, believing them to be camel feed, were prepared to burn them. However, a Polish officer named Jerzy Franciszek Kulczewski, who had spent time within the Ottoman Empire, recognized their true value. He claimed the beans, was granted permission by the emperor, and proceeded to open the city's very first coffee house. From those sacks of leftover beans, a culture of conversation, creativity, and quiet contemplation began to brew, establishing a rhythm that continues to define the city to this day. The vast green expanse of the Prater, with its iconic Ferris wheel and quiet meadows, feels as though it has always belonged to the people of Vienna. For a very long time, however, it was a private world, an exclusive hunting ground of the Habsburg emperors reserved for royal sport and leisure. Common citizens were strictly forbidden from entering its sprawling forests and fields. This all changed in 1766, through a simple yet revolutionary act by the reform-minded Emperor Joseph II, who declared the Prater open to the public. He extended an invitation to every Viennese person to enjoy the space as their own, a gesture that was far more than just opening a park. It was a radical decision that blurred the lines between the rulers and the ruled, giving ordinary people the chance to walk in the footsteps of emperors, beneath the very same trees. After the Second World War, Vienna found itself in a precarious position. A divided city, situated within a divided country. Much like Berlin, it was occupied by the four Allied powers, yet Vienna's story unfolded in a profoundly different manner. The city managed to avoid the fate of being split by a wall, because of a single, crucial administrative decision. Rather than dividing the city into four separate zones of absolute control, the Allies agreed to govern it jointly from a single headquarters. This practical arrangement forced the four powers into daily cooperation and dialogue, fostering a spirit of collaboration that was notably absent in Berlin. This foundation of trust, built through mundane proximity, eventually led to a remarkable outcome. In 1955, all occupying forces withdrew, and Austria was reborn as a neutral country. A simple choice about how to share a building helped to shape the destiny of an entire nation. When you walk through the Naschmarkt, Vienna's largest and most vibrant market, you are unknowingly following the ghost of a river. The long, straight path that now holds stalls of spices, olives and fresh produce, was once the open channel of the Wien River. For much of the city's history, this river was a persistent problem, as it was prone to flooding, and became a source of disease in the increasingly crowded city. Consequently, in the late 19th century, the city made the decision to erase it from view entirely. The river was contained within a massive tunnel, vaulted over with brick and stone, and buried deep beneath the ground. This enormous project not only solved the city's pressing sanitation problems, but also unintentionally created a perfect space for a market. A long, wide, and centrally located strip of land, ready to be filled with the sights, sounds and smells of the world. When you drink a glass of water in Vienna, you are quite literally tasting the Alps. The water is famously pure and cold, but it does not originate from the nearby Danube. The city's relationship with its great river has always been complicated, and in the 19th century, the Danube's water was a source of deadly typhoid epidemics. To save its citizens, the city looked not to the river at its feet, but to the distant mountains. It embarked on one of the most ambitious engineering projects of its era, constructing a 95-kilometer aqueduct to carry fresh spring water directly from the high alpine peaks to the city's fountains and taps. This system, a marvel of foresight and determination completed in 1873, continues to supply Vienna with its pristine drinking water today, a hidden and life-sustaining gift from the mountains. The massive apartment blocks known as Gemeindebauten are far more than just buildings. They are enduring monuments to a powerful political idea. After the First World War, Vienna was a city in crisis, with housing conditions for the working class being desperate and dangerously overcrowded. In response, the newly elected socialist city government, a period known as Red Vienna, launched an unprecedented public housing program. They did not merely build shelters, but instead constructed entire communities. These fortress-like structures were designed with an emphasis on light, air and green space, and often included libraries, laundries and clinics within their walls. They were a bold declaration that every citizen, regardless of income, deserved a dignified place to live. These buildings fundamentally reshaped the city's social fabric, and stand today as a testament to a time when housing was seen not as a commodity, but as a fundamental human right, built to last for generations. The Vienna woods, the city's beloved green lung, feel like a permanent and natural border to the west, making it difficult to imagine the city without them. In the 1870s, however, they were nearly lost forever. A severe financial crisis had left the imperial government desperate for cash, leading to a plan to sell off huge sections of the forest to a timber company for logging and development. The woods were slated to be cleared for villas and factories. This proposal, however, sparked one of the first major environmental movements in Europe. A group of concerned citizens, led by a man named Joseph Schöffel, organized a powerful public protest, writing articles, holding meetings, and fighting tirelessly to save the forest. Their campaign was ultimately successful, as the government backed down, and the Vienna woods were placed under protection, preserved for all future generations to enjoy. For nearly half a century, Vienna existed as a city on the edge of a divided world. It was a Western outpost, looking out across a heavily fortified border into a closed and silent Eastern Europe. The Iron Curtain, just a short drive away, defined its identity as a frontier town, a place of spies and quiet, palpable tension. Then, in 1989, the wall came down, and almost overnight, Vienna's geography was rewritten. It was no longer at the edge of the West, but was suddenly restored to its historic position as the geographic and cultural heart of Central Europe. The city was reconnected with its old neighbors, Prague, Budapest, and Bratislava, sparking a renaissance that brought new energy, new people, and new investment. This sudden shift transformed Vienna from a sleepy frontier city into the vibrant, international hub it is today. The story of Vienna's growth is written in concentric rings, much like the rings of a tree, each one marking a different era of its past. While the Grand Ringstrasse follows the path of the medieval city walls, a second, busier ring road called the Gürtel marks another, later boundary. This road traces the former path of the Linien Wall, an earthen rampart built in the early 18th century to defend against raids. For over 150 years it marked the edge of the city, a place where taxes were collected on goods coming in. By the 1890s, the city had spilled far beyond this old line, and the wall was demolished, not for a grand boulevard, but for a practical, modern artery. It made way for a wide new road, and the elegant ironwork of Otto Wagner's new city railway, the Stadtbahn, carrying Vienna into a new century. A city's location is never an accident, and Vienna sits where it does for reasons that are thousands of years old. It occupies a uniquely strategic place in the landscape of Europe, situated where the ancient Amber Road, a trade route from the Baltic Sea to the Mediterranean, crossed the great east-west highway of the Danube River. It was a natural meeting point, a place where different worlds could connect and exchange goods, cultures, and ideas. The Romans understood this strategic value, building a military camp here called Vindobona to guard this crucial intersection. That small camp grew into a medieval fortress, an imperial capital, and finally, the modern city we see today. Beneath all the layers of history, Vienna is still a city defined by its original purpose, to be a crossroads, a place where paths converge and people meet. After the First World War, Vienna faced a profound crisis of identity. For centuries, it had been the magnificent capital of the vast Austro-Hungarian Empire, but in 1918 the empire was suddenly gone. Vienna was now the oversized head of a tiny new republic, a condition jokingly called the hydrocephalus, the water-headed city, a massive imperial brain for a small diminished body. Its grand palaces, ministries and museums were built to administer an empire of 50 million people, not a country of 6 million. This traumatic downsizing forced Vienna to find a new reason to exist, compelling it to reinvent itself entirely. Over the following decades, it slowly transformed its purpose, turning away from imperial power and towards culture, social innovation, and international diplomacy. It learned to be a great city without being the capital of a great empire. The Vienna Boys Choir is now a global symbol of musical perfection, a traveling group of young ambassadors for the city. They did not, however, begin as a public performance group. Their origins are rooted in the private, sacred world of the imperial court. In 1498, Emperor Maximilian I founded the choir for a very specific purpose. He wanted the finest musical accompaniment for the services in his royal chapel. The boys were part of the court staff, their voices intended primarily for the ears of God and the Habsburg family. For centuries, this remained their primary role, functioning as part of the imperial household, rather than as public entertainers. The evolution from court musicians to world-famous concert performers happened slowly over hundreds of years, mirroring the city's own journey, from a private, imperial world to an open, cultural capital. For a city of its size and historical importance, Vienna was surprisingly late in building a modern subway system. For most of the 20th century, it relied on its excellent network of trams and the old beautiful Stadtbahn railway, and many felt this was sufficient. The idea of digging up the historic city for a new U-Bahn was controversial, but as the city grew, the need for a faster, higher-capacity system became undeniable. The final decision to proceed was made in 1968, a pivotal moment that represented a major investment in the city's future. The construction of the U-Bahn was a massive undertaking that reshaped daily life, connecting the outer districts to the center in a new and profound way. It changed how the Viennese moved through their city, creating new rhythms and patterns of life that continue to define the city today. The year 1873 was intended to be Vienna's great moment on the world stage, as the city hosted a grand World's Fair, designed to showcase the industrial and cultural power of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. A massive new park, the Prater, was filled with spectacular exhibition halls, and the emperor himself opened the event in a celebration of progress and liberal optimism. The triumph, however, was tragically short-lived. Just 9 days after the fair opened, the Vienna stock market crashed, triggering a global financial panic. To make matters worse, a devastating cholera epidemic swept through the city during the summer, leaving the grand exhibition halls often empty. Instead of marking a peak of imperial glory, the 1873 World's Fair became a symbol of disaster, marking the beginning of a more anxious and uncertain era for Vienna. One of the unique charms of Vienna is the fact that you can take a city tram directly to a vineyard. The winemaking villages that dot the hills around the city, such as Grinzing and Nussdorf, feel like a different world, possessing a rustic, small-town character. These places were once entirely separate from Vienna, existing as independent villages with their own churches, mayors, and traditions, surrounded by their ancient vineyards. It was only in the late 19th century, during a period of rapid growth, that the city expanded its official boundaries to include them. Vienna grew so large that it simply swallowed these villages whole, yet they were never fully digested. They managed to keep their names, their distinct character, and most importantly, their wine-growing traditions remaining as small, distinct communities preserved within the fabric of the larger city. As you walk along the Ringstrasse, you observe grand buildings designed to look like Greek temples, Gothic cathedrals, and Renaissance palaces, reflecting the official historicist style of the late 19th century. At the turn of the century, however, a group of Viennese artists and architects decided this imitation of the past was no longer sufficient. They felt the new century demanded a new style, one that was modern and uniquely Viennese, which led to the birth of the secession movement and its artistic style, Jugendstil. Artists like Gustav Klimt and architects like Otto Wagner broke away from historical imitation, creating a style based on flowing lines, natural forms, and beautiful, integrated decoration. It was a deliberate and conscious rebellion, as they were not just designing buildings, but forging a new aesthetic identity for a city on the cusp of modernity. The long, thin island in the middle of the Danube, known as the Donauinsel, is one of Vienna's most popular recreational spots, filled with people swimming and cycling on summer days. It feels like a natural paradise in the middle of the city, but the Danube island is not natural at all. It is a completely man-made creation, built in the 1970s and 80s, as part of a highly sophisticated new flood control system. A massive new channel was dug parallel to the river, and the earth excavated from this channel was piled up to create the 21-kilometer-long island. While its primary purpose is to protect the city from flooding, this massive engineering project had a wonderful, unintended consequence. It gave Vienna a new backyard, a vast and beloved place for leisure and escape, born from the practical need to control the river. Before 1938, Vienna was a city of many voices, with a large and vibrant Jewish population at the very heart of its intellectual and cultural life. They were the scientists, doctors, artists, writers, and thinkers who pushed the city to the forefront of modernism, with names like Sigmund Freud, Gustav Mahler, and Stefan Zweig defining the era. The Holocaust and the forced emigration of those who survived did more than just silence these voices. It created a profound and lasting void in the city's soul. The cultural energy, the critical debates, and the creative friction that had made Vienna so dynamic simply vanished, changing the city forever. This loss is a wound that is still felt today, a quiet absence that speaks to the richness of what was, and the immense tragedy of what was taken away. In 1979, Vienna became the third major headquarters of the United Nations, joining New York and Geneva. This was not a random choice, but rather the result of a deliberate and strategic effort by Austria to define its place in the post-war world. After the withdrawal of Allied troops in 1955, Austria had committed to a policy of permanent neutrality, which for years could have been seen as a passive, isolating position. By actively campaigning to host major international organizations, however, Vienna transformed its neutrality into a valuable global asset, becoming a crucial bridge between East and West during the Cold War. The city successfully repurposed its identity, turning from a former imperial power into a modern center for diplomacy and dialogue, a place where the world could come to talk precisely because it stood on neutral ground. The street map of Vienna's inner city is a fossil, preserving the shape of a city that no longer exists. The distinct pattern of roads radiating out from the center is a direct echo of the old medieval fortifications. For centuries the city was enclosed by a wall, and the only way in or out was through a series of fortified gates. The paths leading to these gates, worn into the landscape by centuries of travelers, merchants and soldiers, were the most important roads. When the city walls were finally torn down in the 19th century, these well-trodden paths remained. They were widened and paved, becoming the major avenues of the modern city. So when you walk down a street like the Kärntnerstrasse, you are walking on a line drawn by history, a path that leads back to a gate in a wall that is no longer there. The Vienna State Opera was one of the very first grand buildings to be completed on the new Ringstrasse, intended as a powerful symbol of the city's cultural prestige. From the beginning, however, it was plagued by relentless criticism. The public complained that the building was not grand enough, and even the emperor himself made a dismissive comment about its design. This constant public scorn had a tragic effect on the two architects, August Sicard von Sickardsberg and Eduard van der Nul, who were partners and friends that had poured their hearts into the project. The attacks were more than they could bear. Van der Nul, who was particularly sensitive to the criticism, fell into a deep depression and took his own life. His partner, Sickardsberg, died of a heart attack just 10 weeks later, meaning neither man ever saw their masterpiece completed. On a cold December evening in 1881, the popular Ring Theatre was packed with people waiting for a performance to begin when a gas lamp malfunctioned. A small fire quickly grew into a horrific inferno. The theatre's safety measures were completely inadequate. The emergency exits opened inwards, and were quickly blocked by the panicked crowd. Nearly 400 people lost their lives in the tragedy, which sent a shockwave through Vienna and the world, exposing a terrifying lack of safety standards in public buildings. In the direct aftermath of this disaster, the city took decisive action. New fire safety laws were passed, and a professional fire brigade, the Berufsfeuerwehr Wien, was founded. The modern, organized system of firefighting that protects the city today was born from the ashes of that terrible night at the Ring Theatre. It might seem strange that the Spanish riding school, a quintessentially Viennese institution, should have its home in Austria, as the name itself presents a geographical puzzle. The answer lies in the vast, interconnected empire of the Habsburg dynasty, which for a time ruled over both Spain and Austria. This political union created a cultural bridge, and the Habsburgs, great admirers of the elegant and powerful horses being bred in Spain, used their imperial connections to import the finest of these animals to Vienna. Here in the heart of their Austrian Empire, they established a school to practice and perfect the art of classical dressage. The Spanish horses found a new home, and their lineage, carefully preserved and refined, became the famous white Lipizzaner stallions. The school is Spanish because the horses, and the empire that brought them here once were. From the ground, St. Stephen's Cathedral presents itself as a masterpiece of Gothic stonework, but if you look up, you can see its other, more colorful glory. The roof is not made of slate or lead, but is instead a vast mosaic, composed of 230,000 glazed ceramic tiles. These are arranged in a vibrant chevron pattern of green, yellow and white, that shimmers in the sunlight. This is not merely decoration, as the tiles themselves tell a story of identity. On the north side, the coats of arms of the city of Vienna and the Republic of Austria are laid out in bright colors. On the south side, the double-headed eagle of the Habsburg Empire still keeps watch over the city it once ruled. This magnificent roof, painstakingly restored after being destroyed in the war, is a blanket of identity, a declaration of history and belonging, that covers the city's most important spiritual building. Strange, brutalist mountains rise from the otherwise flat landscape of Vienna. These are the Flak, or flak towers, 6 of which were built during the Second World War, as massive anti-aircraft gun platforms and bomb shelters. They were constructed with such immense quantities of reinforced concrete, that after the war they proved impossible to demolish. They were simply too strong to be torn down. So they remain, permanent and unavoidable features of the skyline, grim monuments to a dark past, whose windowless facades present a stark contrast to the elegant city around them. Over the years, Vienna has had to learn to live with these concrete ghosts. One has been repurposed to house a public aquarium, its dark interior now filled with colorful sea life. A strange and somehow fitting transformation from a tower of death to a container of life. In the late 19th century, 4 colossal brick cylinders were erected on the outskirts of Vienna. These were the gasometers, designed to store the city's supply of gas for its streetlights, and for 100 years, they stood as symbols of industrial power, the largest of their kind in Europe. When the city switched to natural gas, however, they became obsolete, empty shells awaiting demolition. Instead of tearing them down, Vienna chose to do something remarkable. The city hollowed them out, preserving their historic brick facades while building a new world inside. Today, the gasometers are a vibrant, self-contained community, with apartments, offices, shops, and even a concert hall now housed within these old industrial tanks. Looking up from the central courtyard, you can see the original brick walls rising around a modern village, a testament to the city's ability to build its future inside the shell of its past. Beneath the elegant streets and quiet courtyards of Vienna lies another, hidden city. It is a vast and complex network of sewer tunnels, a subterranean world made famous by the classic film The Third Man. This is not just a cinematic fantasy. The sewer system is real, and parts of it are surprisingly grand, with great, vaulted brick chambers and echoing tunnels carrying the city's wastewater away. The underground channel of the Wien River flows through a tunnel so large, it feels like a subterranean cathedral. For those who are curious, this hidden world is not entirely off limits, as you can take an official guided tour that descends into the darkness. It offers a glimpse into the incredible engineering that keeps the modern city clean and healthy, a reminder that every city has two sides, the one we see, and the one that works silently beneath our feet. The Karl-Marx-Hof is not merely an apartment building, it is a monumental statement. Stretching for more than a kilometer, it is considered the longest single residential building in the world, its immense, continuous facade, a dominant feature of its neighborhood. Its size, however, is not just for show. It is a physical manifestation of the political ideals of Red Vienna in the 1920s. This was social housing on a truly epic scale, conceived as a socialist fortress, and a self-contained community for the working class. Its grand archways feel like city gates, and its numerous courtyards were designed as communal living rooms. Walking along its seemingly endless length, you can feel the ambition of its creators, who were not just building homes but were building a new model for society, and they wanted it to be seen from miles away. The Secession building stands as one of Vienna's most iconic Art Nouveau structures, a temple to a new kind of art with the motto, "To every age its art, to every art its freedom," inscribed above its entrance. Its most famous feature is the gleaming golden dome that sits upon its roof, which from a distance looks like a solid ball of gold. As you get closer, however, you see that it is a delicate and intricate construction. The dome is not solid at all, but is a sphere made of 2,500 gilded iron leaves, intricately woven together, to form a filigree globe that glitters in the sun. This intricate design earned it an affectionate and slightly irreverent nickname from the Viennese, who call it the Teklap or Golden's Krautapfel, or the Golden Cabbage. It is a perfect Viennese nickname, a little bit dismissive, a little bit affectionate and surprisingly accurate. In a city known for its imperial order and straight lines, the Hundertwasserhaus stands as a joyful rebellion. This apartment building, designed by the artist Friedensreich Hundertwasser, is a deliberate rejection of everything flat and uniform, as he believed that straight lines were godless and immoral. In his building, therefore, the floors are not level, but undulate in gentle waves, meant to mimic a forest floor. The exterior is a chaotic, colorful patchwork of painted blocks, ceramic tiles, and mismatched windows. Most remarkably, the building incorporates nature directly into its structure, with over 200 trees and shrubs growing from its balconies and terraces. Some even grow from inside the rooms, their branches extending out through the windows, into the open air. It is a living, breathing work of art, a building that seems to be trying to turn back into a forest. In 1910, a new building on Mikkelerplatz caused a major public outcry. It was the Loos House, a commercial building designed by the architect Adolf Loos. And its crime was its profound simplicity. The lower floors were clad in smooth, polished marble, with no ornamentation whatsoever, while the upper floors were a plain plaster grid. This stark, unadorned facade was seen as a deep insult, as it stood directly opposite the lavishly decorated entrance to the Hofburg Palace, the very heart of the old empire. The Viennese, accustomed to ornate decoration, were horrified, calling it the house without eyebrows because of its lack of window moldings. The controversy became so intense that construction was halted, and Loos was eventually forced to add small decorative elements, like bronze flower boxes, as a compromise. The building marks a turning point, a clash between the imperial past and a new, stripped-down modernism. Beneath the simple, unassuming Capuchin church in the center of Vienna lies the final resting place of an entire empire. This is the imperial crypt, or Kaisergruft, where in a series of quiet, subterranean chambers, the remains of 145 members of the Habsburg dynasty are entombed. For nearly 400 years, this was the family's designated burial place. Walking through the crypt is like walking through a history of art and power, as the sarcophagi range from the simple and pious to the incredibly elaborate. The most magnificent are immense, Baroque creations of bronze and silver, covered in detailed sculptures depicting skeletons, angels, and symbols of imperial power, with some skulls even shown wearing crowns. It is a somber, silent place that holds the bodies of the people who built Vienna, a city of the dead sleeping quietly beneath the living. In the late 1890s, Vienna built a new city railway, the Stadtbahn, and the project was entrusted to a single architect, Otto Wagner, a leader of the new Art Nouveau movement. He was given control over every single element of the new line, which resulted in a remarkable and unified aesthetic that still defines parts of the city's transit system. Wagner designed the grand bridges and viaducts that carried the trains, as well as the station buildings with their clean white marble and distinctive green ironwork. He even designed the lighting fixtures, the railings and the lettering on the signs, with his signature sunflower motif appearing again and again. This comprehensive approach turned a piece of public infrastructure into a total work of art, bringing the most modern artistic style of the day to the everyday experience of traveling through the city. From a distance it looks like a child's forgotten building blocks, tumbled on a hillside. The Wotruberkirche, or Church of the Most Holy Trinity, does not look like a church at all, but is a startling work of brutalist architecture, a sculpture made of concrete. The building is composed of 152 massive, unfinished concrete blocks, seemingly arranged in a chaotic pile, They lean against each other, creating strange angles and narrow gaps that let in slivers of light. The architect, Fritz Wotruba, wanted to create a space that was both dramatic and deeply spiritual, showing that something beautiful and meaningful could be made from simple, raw materials. The church is a challenging and powerful building that asks you to find the sacred not in smooth perfection, but in the rough, complex, and seemingly random arrangement of heavy forms. In 1784, a strange circular building was constructed on the grounds of the Vienna General Hospital. It was the Narrenturm, or Fool's Tower, a 5-story fortress-like structure that was the first building in Europe designed specifically to house psychiatric patients. It was a product of the Enlightenment, an attempt to bring order and reason to the treatment of mental illness, but it was a grim and isolating place. The building is a cylinder containing 139 small, single cells, each with barred windows and heavy doors, making it a prison as much as a hospital. The tower has long since ceased its original function and today houses a museum of anatomical pathology, its cells filled with medical specimens instead of people. It stands as a somber monument to a difficult chapter in the history of medicine, a building that tells a story of good intentions and harsh realities. The Vienna State Opera appears to be a perfectly preserved 19th-century masterpiece, and indeed, its grand facade, magnificent main staircase, and opulent tea salon all survived the Second World War. The building you see today, however, is a clever illusion. In March 1945, an Allied bomb scored a direct hit on the structure, and the entire auditorium and stage were consumed by fire and completely destroyed. For a decade, the opera was a hollow shell. When it was finally rebuilt, a decision was made to create a new, modern auditorium within the historic exterior, designed with better acoustics and sightlines in a more restrained 1950s style. So when you attend a performance today, you are sitting in a modern theater, hidden inside a historic building. It is a secret that the Opera House keeps well, a story of destruction and rebirth, hidden behind a beautiful old face. High above a street in the old city, a beautiful Art Nouveau clock forms a bridge between two buildings. This is the Anchoror, and it is more than just a way to tell time. It is a small daily piece of public theatre. The clock was designed to celebrate the history of Vienna, and every day, as the clock strikes noon, a slow parade begins. A series of 12 gilded figures, each representing a famous person from Vienna's past, glides across the face of the clock, from Marcus Aurelius, to Maria Theresa, to Joseph Haydn. Each figure is accompanied by a short piece of music from their era, played on a small organ. For 15 minutes, the clock puts on a show for the street below, a quiet, charming ritual that connects the present moment to the long, slow procession of the city's history. The Hofburg Palace is not a building that can be easily understood at a single glance. It is not a unified structure, but a sprawling, complex puzzle of wings, courtyards, and residences. For over 700 years, each successive Habsburg emperor added a new piece to the palace, building in the style of their own time, with little regard for what came before. The result is a fascinating architectural maze where different eras of history collide. A Gothic chapel is attached to a Renaissance wing, and a Baroque library opens onto a Rococo apartment. Walking through the Hofburg is like walking through time itself, as you can see the city's entire history reflected in its jumbled, yet magnificent collection of buildings. It is a palace that was never finished, but was always growing, just like the empire it was built to house. In the middle of the elegant Graben Street stands a swirling cloud-like column of white marble known as the Pest Saal, or Plague Column. Erected after the Great Plague of 1679, it is much more than a simple memorial. It is a complex and dramatic piece of Baroque theatre frozen in stone. The column does not just commemorate the plague, it tells a theological story. At the base, the figure of Faith, a woman with a cross, triumphs over the hag-like figure of the plague itself. The entire column then spirals upwards in a whirlwind of carved clouds, angels and saints, a narrative of divine intervention and salvation. The sheer density of the carving is breathtaking, creating a monument that seems to be in motion, a testament to a city's relief and gratitude after a period of unimaginable suffering. The Spittelberg Quarter is a charming maze of narrow cobblestone streets and small, picturesque houses that feels like a preserved village from another time. Today it is a fashionable area filled with art galleries, theaters and cozy restaurants, but its current charm hides a much rougher past. In the 19th century, this area was a poor, overcrowded suburb located just outside the city walls, a district known for its poverty, cheap taverns, and red light district. The small Biedermeier houses that now look so quaint were once packed with families living in difficult conditions. The area was saved from demolition by artists and students who moved in during the 20th century, attracted by the low rents. They helped preserve its unique character, transforming a forgotten slum into one of the city's most beloved neighborhoods. For most of its history, Vienna has been a low-rise city, its skyline dominated by the spire of St. Stephen's Cathedral. Across the Danube, however, a new skyline is beginning to take shape, its tallest and most dramatic feature being the DC Tower. Designed by French architect Dominique Perrault, it is a slim, elegant skyscraper that rises 250 meters into the sky, making it the tallest building in Austria. Its most distinctive feature is its folded, crystalline facade. One side of the building is a smooth, black glass curtain, while the other three are fractured and folded, as if the tower is a piece of liquid frozen in motion. It provides a stark, modern counterpoint to the historical city across the river, a symbol of a new, more corporate Vienna, looking towards the future while the old city sleeps. There are few rooms in the world as breathtaking as the State Hall of the Austrian National Library. To step inside is to enter a Baroque dream of knowledge and power. This is the Prunksaal, or Tenji, Grand Hall, the original library of the Habsburg emperors, and it was designed to impress. The vast space is over 77 meters long, with a massive central dome covered in frescoes that depict the path to wisdom. But the real stars are the books themselves. More than 200,000 historical volumes, dating from 1501 to 1850, are housed here in towering dark wood bookcases that line the hall from floor to ceiling. The air smells of old paper and beeswax, creating a cathedral dedicated to the printed word, a quiet, magnificent space that feels as if it contains all the knowledge in the world. The film, The Third Man, gave the world an unforgettable image of Vienna's sewers, a dark, atmospheric world of shadows and echoing footsteps. For many, it seems like a place that could only exist in the movies, but the locations were real, and you can still visit them today. The Third Man tour is not a film set tour. It is a descent into the actual working sewer system. You enter through a specific manhole cover on a city street and climb down a spiral staircase into the darkness. The tour takes you through the vaulted brick channels of the subterranean cholera canals, built in the 19th century. You can hear the water rushing, feel the damp air, and see the very spot where the film's famous chase scenes were shot, a unique experience that brings a piece of cinematic history to life. In a quiet residential district of Vienna, a strange and exotic building stands out from its neighbors, featuring a minaret-like tower, a grand arched entrance, and a facade covered in colorful ceramic tiles. It looks like a mosque transported from the Middle East, but this building was never a place of worship. It is the Zackel Fabrik, a former insecticide factory built in the late 19th century by a man named Johann Zackel, who made his fortune selling pyrethrum powder, a natural insecticide made from flowers imported from Persia. The building's striking, oriental design was a brilliant piece of marketing, an advertisement in architectural form that connected the product to its exotic origins. The factory has long since closed, but the building remains as a strange and beautiful piece of industrial history. On a busy corner in the heart of Vienna, at the base of a grand 19th century building, rests a strange and ancient relic. It is the Stockeisen, or Vertel in Muntmunter, staff in iron, the preserved trunk of a medieval tree, now encased in glass and iron, and completely covered in nails. For centuries, it was a tradition for locksmith and blacksmith apprentices to hammer a nail into the trunk for good luck, as they left Vienna to travel as journeymen. Over hundreds of years, the trunk became a dense mass of iron. The original tree was a spruce that grew in the Middle Ages, with the first nails being hammered in sometime in the 15th century. It is a quiet, easily overlooked monument to a lost tradition, a piece of the medieval forest preserved in the heart of the modern city. Perched on a hill overlooking the city, the Kirche am Steinhof is a beacon of white and gold, its gleaming copper dome visible from miles away. Designed by Otto Wagner, It is considered the first truly modernist church in the world. It was built as the chapel for a large psychiatric hospital, and every detail of its design was carefully considered for the well-being of the patients. The pews have rounded edges to prevent injury, while the holy water fonts are designed with dripping water to avoid the spread of infection. Wagner believed that beauty itself was a form of therapy, so he designed everything from the stained glass windows by Cullum and Moser to the priest's vestments. The result is a total work of art, a place where modern design, hygiene and spiritual devotion come together in perfect harmony. Michaelerplatz is one of the grandest entrances to the Hofburg Palace, a busy square where tourists, horse-drawn carriages and locals all pass through. In the center of the square, however, the city's history is literally laid bare. An archaeological excavation has been left open for public view, and in this sunken pit, you can see the foundations of buildings that stood on this spot long before the palace was here. There are the remains of Roman barracks from the camp of Vindobona, and on top of them, the foundations of medieval houses. These ancient stone walls lie exposed to the sky, just a few feet away from the modern traffic. It is a powerful and direct reminder of the many layers of history that lie just beneath the surface of the city, a place where you can look down and see 2,000 years of time. The Danube Tower, or Donauturm, was built in the 1960s as a symbol of modern Vienna, a futuristic spire for a city looking forward after years of difficulty. From the ground it looks slender and graceful, but its height is best appreciated from the inside. It has 2 high-speed elevators that whisk visitors to the observation deck, 150 meters up, in just 35 seconds, and as you ascend, the city spreads out below you like a map. The tower itself is not located on the Danube, but in a large park next to it, a position that gives it an uninterrupted, panoramic view of the entire city. The tower also has a restaurant that slowly rotates, giving diners an ever-changing vista. It is a calm, quiet place to watch the city from above, a slow dance with the skyline. Within the walls of a traditional Viennese coffee house, you are treated less like a customer, and more like a welcome guest in a public living room. The price of a single coffee purchase is something far more valuable than the beverage itself, for it grants you the unspoken permission to linger indefinitely. You can settle for hours at a small marble table, perhaps perusing the international newspapers provided on their elegant wooden holders, or simply observing the quiet theater of the room. As a tangible symbol of this generous hospitality, your coffee arrives on a silver tray, always accompanied by a small glass of water. A diligent waiter will often refill this glass unprompted, a quiet gesture that reaffirms the unwritten contract of the establishment. You are welcome to stay. This small ritual transforms the coffee house from a place of commerce into a sanctuary for contemplation, a place to simply be. Long after the restaurants have closed and the theaters have emptied, there is still a place to gather in Vienna. The Wurstelstand, or sausage stand, is a uniquely Viennese institution that functions as more than just a place for a late-night snack. It is a social crossroads. Under the warm light of its awning, people from all walks of life stand side by side, from a finely dressed couple just come from the opera, to a group of students or a taxi driver. They are all there for the same simple, satisfying ritual. The most popular order is a Käsekreiner, a thick sausage filled with small pockets of cheese, grilled until it is crisp. It is served on a paper plate with a slice of dark bread and a dollop of mustard, offering a quiet sense of community in the late hours of the night. Between New Year's and the beginning of Lent, Vienna is swept up in a flurry of elegance and tradition known as the ball season. During this time, the city's grand ballrooms come alive with music and dancing, hosting over 450 balls, each with its own character and customs. The most famous ritual, however, is the one that opens the dance floor to everyone. At the beginning of the evening, young debutantes in white gowns perform a carefully choreographed dance. After their performance, the master of ceremonies gives the command that everyone has been waiting for: Alles Walzer, or all waltz. At this moment, the formal presentation is over, the dance floor is open to all guests, and the room transforms into a swirling sea of couples waltzing under the crystal chandeliers. It is the instant the ball truly begins. On the hills that surround Vienna, a special kind of tavern known as a unhurried opens its doors in the spring and summer. The name refers to the new wine from the most recent harvest, and a unhurried is a place where a local winemaker can serve their own product directly to the public. There are strict rules governing these establishments. By law, they are only allowed to sell their own wine, and they must display a bundle of pine branches above their door to show that they are open. The atmosphere is relaxed and informal, with patrons sitting at simple wooden tables in a courtyard or garden, often with a view of the vineyards. While the tavern serves its wine, it is a common and accepted tradition for guests to bring their own food, spreading out a small picnic to share. It is a beautifully simple and communal way to enjoy the new wine, right where it was grown. The famous performances of the Lipizzaner stallions at the Spanish riding school are spectacles of perfection and grace, but this perfection is not achieved overnight. It is the result of a quiet, daily ritual that is also open to the public, known as the morning exercise. Each day, the famous white horses are brought into the magnificent Baroque winter riding hall, and to the sound of classical music, the stallions and their riders practice their movements. This is not a show, but a training session, a time for the horses to stretch, and for the riders to work on the subtle details of their art. The atmosphere is calm and focused, offering a glimpse behind the curtain at the patient, daily work that goes into creating the formulae, ballet of the white stallions. It is a routine that has been repeated in this hall for centuries. The Wiener Schnitzel is more than just a dish. It is a protected piece of Austrian cultural heritage. To be legally called a Wiener Schnitzel, it must be made from a thin slice of veal, and if it is made from pork or chicken, the menu must clearly state this distinction. The true ritual, however, is not in the law, but in the preparation, which is an art form in itself. The veal is pounded until it is paper thin, sometimes so large it hangs over the edge of the plate. It is then lightly floured, dipped in egg, and coated in fine breadcrumbs. The final, crucial step is frying it in a generous amount of clarified butter or lard, where the schnitzel must be able to swim in the hot fat. This causes the breading to puff up, creating a light, airy and golden brown crust that doesn't touch the meat, which is the secret to a perfect schnitzel. While in many cities the new year arrives with the sound of fireworks and cheering crowds, in Vienna the moment is marked by a much deeper and more resonant sound. As midnight approaches on New Year's Eve, national television and radio stations broadcast the sound of a single bell, the Pummerin, the massive bell of St. Stephen's Cathedral. Its deep, powerful toll rings out across the city and the nation, a solemn and beautiful welcome to the new year. As soon as the bell finishes its 12 chimes, the radio switches to music, and the familiar strains of Johann Strauss's The Blue Danube waltz fill the air. In the streets and squares, and in homes across the city, people begin to waltz. It is a uniquely Viennese transition, from the sacred sound of the bell to the joyful rhythm of the dance. There is a certain type of grumpiness that is unique to Vienna, known as Grant, and it is a fundamental part of the city's character. A visitor might be taken aback by a waiter who seems gruff, a shopkeeper who sighs dramatically, or a stranger who complains about a minor inconvenience. This, however, is often not genuine anger, but a form of social performance, a shared cultural ritual of mild dissatisfaction. The Viennese Grant is a way of communicating that is understood by all, and it can even be a strange sign of affection, a way of creating a bond through shared complaint. It is a dry, dark humor that finds comfort in the idea that things are never quite right. To understand the Grant is to understand a deep and important part of the Viennese soul, a grumpiness with a twinkle in its eye. When the summer heat settles on the city, the Viennese have a favorite way to escape. They go to the Alte Donau, or the Old Danube, which is not the main river, but a series of long, placid lakes that were once a part of the river's course. The water is clean and calm, and the shores are lined with public beaches, small cabins, and boat rental shops. The classic ritual is to rent a small electric boat or a paddle boat for a few hours, pack a small picnic, and head out onto the water. Locals spend the afternoon swimming, sunbathing on the boat's deck, and watching the world go by. It is a simple, peaceful form of leisure where, from the middle of the lake, the noise of the city fades away, and you can see the modern skyline of the DC Tower rising in the distance. The Vienna Philharmonic's New Year's concert is a global television event, a picture of formal, high culture. For those in the audience, however, the concert always ends with a beloved, and predictable ritual. After the official program of waltzes and polkas is finished, the orchestra returns for 2 encores that are always the same. First, the conductor and the orchestra wish the audience a Happy New Year, and then they play the unofficial Austrian national anthem, the Blue Danube Waltz. This is followed by the final piece, the Radetzky March. As the march begins, the audience starts to clap along to the rhythm, and the conductor turns away from the orchestra and towards the audience, guiding their clapping, sometimes asking for a softer clap, sometimes for a louder one. It is a moment when the barrier between the performers and the audience dissolves in a shared, joyful rhythm. Every city has a sound that defines its daily rhythm, and in Vienna it is the sound of the tram. The Viennese have an affectionate nickname for their trams, calling them BIM, an imitation of the sound of the tram's warning bell. The quiet hum of an approaching tram, the gentle squeal of its wheels on the tracks, and the cheerful bim-bim of its bell are the background music of the city. The network is extensive, and the red and white trams seem to be everywhere, gliding through narrow medieval streets and along the Grand Ringstrasse. They are a constant, reliable presence, a gentle and civilized way to move through the city. For many locals, the sound of the BIM is the sound of home, a steady pulse that has measured out the city's days for over a century. A Saturday morning at the Naschmarkt is a ritual for the senses. This is Vienna's largest market, and on weekends it becomes a bustling, vibrant place. The air is thick with a mixture of smells, the sharp scent of exotic spices, the salty brine of olives, the sweet aroma of fresh pastries, and the clean smell of fresh fish on ice. The sounds are a chorus of commerce, with vendors shouting out their daily specials in a mixture of German and Turkish, and the murmur of shoppers filling the air as they move from stall to stall. The sights are a feast of color and texture, with mountains of dried fruits, pyramids of cheese, and barrels of pickled vegetables creating a rich tapestry. It is a place where locals come not just to shop for the week, but to participate in a lively sensory ritual that has been part of the city for centuries. In the middle of the afternoon, Vienna takes a civilized pause for the ritual of Joel-C. This is more than just a snack. It is a small, cherished moment of rest and indulgence in an otherwise busy day. The tradition is simple: a cup of coffee and a slice of cake, which could be a piece of classic Apfelstrudel with its thin, flaky pastry, or perhaps a slice of the famous Sachertorte, the dense chocolate cake with a layer of apricot jam. Joes can be taken in a grand coffee house, a modern cafe, or in the comfort of one's own home. It is a moment to step away from work, to meet with a friend, or to simply sit quietly and recharge. A small, sweet ritual that helps to break up the day and make it a little more pleasant. As winter descends on Vienna, the city's squares are transformed into magical Christmas markets, or Christkindlmärkte, and the air fills with the scent of gingerbread and roasted chestnuts. The most essential ritual of the market, however, involves a warm, steaming mug. To fight off the cold, locals and visitors alike drink punch or glühwein, a hot, spiced wine. When you buy your first drink, you pay a deposit, or pint, for the ceramic mug it is served in. Each market, and sometimes each stall, has its own unique, festively decorated mug. This system creates a small choice at the end of the night. You can return the mug to any stall and get your deposit back, or you can decide to keep the mug as a small, inexpensive souvenir of a cold evening spent in the warm glow of the market. In the heart of Vienna, a sound from the past still echoes through the streets. The steady, rhythmic clop of horses' hooves on the cobblestones. This is the sound of the fiacre, the horse-drawn carriages that have been a feature of the city for centuries. Long before you see the elegant carriage or the two horses that pull it, you can hear them coming, the sound a constant, gentle percussion that underlies the more modern noises of the city. The fiacre were once the city's primary form of transport, the taxis of their day. Now they are a rolling symbol of a more romantic, slower-paced Vienna. For the drivers, who are often part of a family tradition, the rhythm of the horses' hooves is the rhythm of their working day, a sound that connects them directly to the city's long history. While in many of the world's great capitals Sunday is just a slightly quieter Saturday, in Vienna, Sunday has a rhythm all its own. A deep and profound stillness settles over the city, as by law, most shops and supermarkets are required to be closed. The commercial bustle of the week comes to a complete halt, which changes the character of the day. It is a day reserved not for errands, but for leisure. The Viennese use this day for walks in the Prater, or the Vienna woods. They visit the city's many museums, or they gather for long, unhurried lunches with family and friends. This weekly pause is a cherished part of the city's rhythm, a stark contrast to the 24/7 energy of other modern cities. It is a day when Vienna remembers how to be slow. The Sachertorte is perhaps the most famous cake in the world, a symbol of Viennese culinary art, and its origin story is an equally beloved local legend. The year was 1832, and Prince Metternich was hosting an important dinner, having instructed his kitchen to create a new and spectacular dessert. On the day of the dinner, however, the head chef fell ill, and the task fell to a 16-year-old apprentice chef, named Franz Sacher. Under immense pressure, the young man had to invent a dessert on the spot. He combined simple ingredients, chocolate, apricot jam, and a rich chocolate glaze, to create a cake that was both elegant and delicious. The prince was delighted, and a legend was born. The story of the young apprentice who saved the day is a perfect Viennese tale of talent, pressure, and a little bit of luck. In the constant, silent ballet of city life, there are unwritten rules that keep everything moving smoothly. In Vienna, one of the most strictly observed of these rules is found on any escalator. The principle is simple: rechts stehen, links gehen, which means, stand on the right, walk on the left. This small piece of social choreography is not just a suggestion, it is an iron law of public transport. The right side of the escalator is for those who are content to stand and ride, while the left side is a clear, open lane for those who are in a hurry and wish to climb. This simple, shared understanding allows two different rhythms to coexist in the same space. It is a small but perfect example of the Viennese love of order, a quiet agreement that helps the city's human traffic flow without chaos. A bistro is the Viennese answer to a bistro or a pub, a cozy, unpretentious neighborhood restaurant that serves as a cornerstone of local life. The rhythm in a bistro is slow and comfortable, with decor that is often simple, featuring dark wood paneling and old pictures on the walls. The air is filled with the smell of classic comfort food, like goulash or schnitzel. This is not a place for quick meals or loud music, but a place for regulars to sit for hours, reading a newspaper that is provided for them. It is a place to drink a beer, or a spritzer, a refreshing mix of white wine and sparkling water. A basil is like a public living room for the neighborhood, a warm and welcoming space where the pressures of the day seem to fade away. For one weekend every summer, the Danube Sailfest transforms a quiet park into Europe's largest free open-air festival, drawing millions of people to the Danube island for a non-stop party of music and events. Perhaps the most peaceful moment of the festival, however, is its very end. As the sun begins to rise after the final night of music, a different kind of rhythm takes over. The vast island, which just hours before was a sea of people, is now quiet and empty. The only people moving are the cleaning crews, sweeping up mountains of confetti and plastic cups as the first rays of sun hit the river. The stages are silent. It is a brief, calm interlude between the energy of the festival and the return of the island to its normal, peaceful state, the quiet breath, after the song is over. The morning ritual for many Viennese begins not with coffee, but with a specific kind of bread roll known as the semmel, a cornerstone of the city's breakfast culture. A true Viennese semmel is a work of art, a small, round roll with a distinctive five-pointed star pattern on top. The outside is perfectly crisp and crackles when you bite into it, while the inside is soft, white and airy. A fresh semmel from a local bakery is one of the simple pleasures of life in the city, and it can be eaten with butter and jam, or used to make a small sandwich with cheese or ham. The quality of a person's morning can often be measured by the freshness of their semmel, a small but fundamentally important part of the daily rhythm of Vienna. In the hot, quiet afternoons of a Viennese summer, a unique kind of music fills the air. In the city's residential districts, it is common for people to leave their windows open to catch a breeze. And because Vienna is a city of musicians, this means that the sounds of practice often drift out into the courtyards and streets. You might hear the hesitant notes of a child learning the piano, the soaring scales of an opera singer rehearsing an aria, or the patient, repetitive work of a violinist perfecting a difficult passage. These are not performances, but the private sounds of work and dedication, made public by the summer heat. They are a reminder that in this city, music is not just something that happens in concert halls. It is a living, breathing part of the fabric of daily life. If you ask an older Viennese person for directions, you might receive a confusing answer. They might tell you to turn left where a certain shop used to be, or to go straight until you reach the corner where a famous cafe once stood. This is the phenomenon of phantom landmarks, a habit of giving directions using places that no longer exist. For a visitor, it can be frustrating, but for locals, it is a testament to the city's long and shared memory. These phantom landmarks are like ghosts that still haunt the city's mental map, showing how deeply the past is embedded in the present. The city may change and buildings may be torn down, but in the minds of the people who have lived here for a long time, the old places are still there, silently holding their ground. The culture of public swimming pools, or bäder, is a cherished summer institution in Vienna. These are not just simple pools, many of them are vast, beautiful complexes, built in the early 20th century. The Amalienbad, for example, is a stunning Art Deco masterpiece, with a glass roof and ornate tilework that make it feel more like a cathedral than a swimming pool. For generations of Viennese, these pools are where they learned to swim, where they spent long, hot summer days as children, and where they now bring their own children. The boulevards are social centers, places to meet friends, to relax, and to escape the heat of the city. They are a democratic and affordable luxury, a shared public space that is an essential part of the rhythm of a Viennese summer. To get to the wine taverns in the hills above Vienna, there is a small, tourist-friendly train called the Unhurried Express that winds its way slowly through the vineyards, offering a picturesque journey. For most locals, however, this is not the way to go. The real Viennese ritual is to take public transport. You can take the D-tram all the way to its final stop in the village of Nussdorf, or you can take the 38A bus, which climbs up the hill and drops you right at the entrance to the vineyards. There is a quiet satisfaction in taking a regular city bus or tram, and ending up in such a beautiful rustic setting. It speaks to the unique character of Vienna, a city where the urban and the rural are so closely intertwined that you can reach a vineyard with a simple city transit ticket. In a quiet corner of the Prater Park, there is a strange spherical house surrounded by a barbed wire fence, with a formal street sign identifying it as the Republic of Kugelmugel. This is the creation of an artist named Edwin Lippberger, who in 1971 built this perfectly spherical house in the Austrian countryside without a building permit. After years of legal disputes with the authorities over his right to build, he took a radical step and declared his house an independent republic, with himself as its head of state, even printing his own stamps. Eventually, the authorities had enough, the artist was briefly jailed, and his spherical house was moved to the Prater. It now sits there as a public art piece, a monument to a strange and stubborn battle between artistic freedom and bureaucratic rules. The magic of a snow globe, that small, perfect world captured in a glass sphere, was born from a moment of scientific frustration in Vienna. In the year 1900, a surgical instrument mechanic named Erwin Percy was asked to help improve the brightness of the newly invented electric light bulb, which was still quite dim. His idea was to fill a glass globe with water and place it in front of the light, hoping it would act as a lens. To increase the reflection, he added small, white flakes of semolina, but the effect was not what he intended. The flakes floated gently down through the water, reminding him of falling snow. He abandoned his light bulb experiment, but he kept the idea, putting a tiny model of a church inside the globe. And with that, the world's first snow globe was born. Vienna holds a unique distinction among the world's major capitals, as it is the only one that has a significant and commercially viable wine-growing industry located entirely within its city limits. While other cities might have a few ceremonial vines, Vienna has over 700 hectares of vineyards, which are not just a hobby but a serious agricultural business, producing thousands of bottles of high-quality wine each year. These vineyards are not hidden away in a remote corner. They are a visible and integrated part of the city's landscape, climbing the slopes of the Vienna woods and overlooking the Danube. This means that the city's official land use plan has to protect not just parks and buildings, but also agricultural land. It is a strange and wonderful fusion of the urban and the rural, a city that is also a wine region. The Vienna Central Cemetery, or Zentralfriedhof, is a place of staggering scale. As one of the largest cemeteries in the world, with over 3 million interments, it feels less like a cemetery, and more like a city of the dead. The avenues are wide, the trees are mature, and the different sections have their own distinct character. The scale is so immense that it has its own internal bus line, with a small city bus running on a regular schedule to help mourners and visitors navigate the sprawling landscape. This fact has given rise to a popular piece of Viennese morbid humor. The saying goes that the Zentralfriedhof is half the size of Zurich but twice as much fun, a perfect expression of the city's dark wit. As you walk through the art museums of Vienna, looking at the hundreds of portraits of the Habsburg rulers who governed the city for centuries, you may start to notice a recurring feature. Many of the subjects have a very prominent lower jaw and a protruding chin, a feature famously known as the Lee Habsburg jaw. It was a distinct genetic trait, passed down through generations of the royal family, and its prevalence was a direct result of the dynasty's policy of frequent inbreeding. To keep power and territory within the family, Habsburgs often married their own cousins or nieces. This had the unfortunate side effect of concentrating certain genetic traits, including this distinctive facial structure. The portraits that were meant to project power and authority now also serve as a quiet, clinical record of the genetic consequences of the family's own political strategy. In the vast and beautiful St. Stephen's Cathedral, there are countless statues of saints and holy figures, but one of them has a very specific and unusual purpose. In a quiet corner, there is a statue of Christ with a pained expression on his face, known as Christus mit de Zahnweh, or Toothache Jesus. For centuries, this was the specific statue that people would pray to when they were suffering from dental pain. The tradition holds that by offering a prayer to this particular image of Christ in agony, one could find relief from the torment of a toothache. It is a fascinating example of folk religion, a belief that a specific statue could intercede for a specific ailment. It is a reminder that for many people, faith is not just about the great mysteries of life, but also about finding comfort for the small, sharp pains of human existence. Vienna is a city famous for its music, but one of its most unusual ensembles makes music with instruments that you won't find in any traditional orchestra. This is the Gemüse Orchestra, or the Vegetable Orchestra. This unique group performs on instruments that are crafted entirely from fresh vegetables just hours before each concert, using carrot flutes, pumpkin basses, cucumber xylophones, and leek violins. The sounds they create are surprisingly complex and musical, a strange and wonderful symphony of squishes, crunches, and squeaks. The performance, however, has a second act. After the concert is over, the musicians take their instruments, chop them up, and cook a large pot of soup, which is then shared with the audience. It is a complete sensory experience, a performance that you can not only hear, but also smell and taste. In most cities, the Department of Waste Management is a quiet, unglamorous part of the city government. In Vienna, however, the Municipal Department 48, or MA 48, has achieved a level of cult status. Through a series of clever and humorous marketing campaigns, the department has cultivated a surprisingly cool, counterculture brand. They have a popular line of merchandise, including t-shirts, hats and bags, all featuring their bright orange logo and witty, garbage-related slogans. They host events, like an Action Day, at their main depot, which draws large crowds. They have made garbage collection not just a public service, but a source of civic pride and amusement. It is a uniquely Viennese approach, to take something mundane and unpleasant, and to transform it with a little bit of wit and style, into something to be celebrated. The croissant is seen as a quintessentially French pastry, but its origins may lie in Vienna, linked to a pastry called the Kummer, Kipferl, a crescent-shaped roll made with a rich, buttery dough. The legend dates back to the Siege of Vienna in 1683. The story goes that a Viennese baker, working late at night, heard the sound of the Ottoman army trying to tunnel under the city walls. He raised the alarm, and the attack was stopped. To celebrate the victory, he created a new pastry in the shape of a crescent, the symbol on the Ottoman flag, as a way of symbolically devouring the enemy. While the historical accuracy of this story is debated, the kipfel is undoubtedly the ancestor of the croissant. It was brought to Paris by a Viennese baker in the 19th century, where it evolved into the pastry we know today. In some of Vienna's older administrative buildings and apartment blocks, you can still find a strange and slightly intimidating type of elevator known as the Paternoster lift. It is a continuous loop of open compartments that move slowly and constantly, without ever stopping. There are no doors, so to use it you have to time your entry and exit perfectly, simply stepping into a compartment as it passes your floor, and stepping out again when you reach your destination. It requires a small leap of faith. The name, Paternoster, comes from the Latin for, Our Father, the first words of the Lord's Prayer, as the lift's continuous loop is said to be reminiscent of rosary beads. They are a fascinating relic from a time when people had a different relationship with machinery, a little more trusting, and a little more daring. While Vienna has museums dedicated to art, music and history, it also has one dedicated to a much more private, but equally universal, human experience. This is the Museum of Contraception and Abortion, or MUVS. It is a small clinical space that documents the long and often strange history of humanity's attempts to control fertility. The collection includes everything from ancient Egyptian contraceptive recipes to bizarre and dangerous devices from the 19th century, tracing the story up to the development of the modern birth control pill and safe abortion methods. The museum is a serious scientific institution, but its subject matter is inherently fascinating. It is a quiet, thoughtful and sometimes shocking look at a topic that has been a central, but often hidden, part of human life for thousands of years. Vienna has a reputation for being obsessed with death, and the city's funeral museum, the Bestattungsmuseum, leans into this stereotype with a great deal of morbid wit. Located beneath the central cemetery, the museum showcases the elaborate rituals and traditions of Viennese funerals. It is the gift shop, however, that truly captures the city's dark sense of humor. Here, you can buy items that you won't find anywhere else, such as Lego sets of a full funeral procession, complete with a tiny hearse and mourners. There are USB sticks shaped like coffins, and tote bags with the slogan, Der Tod muss ein Wiener sein, Death must be a Viennese. It is a place that understands that the best way to cope with the inevitability of death is to have a little fun with it along the way. On a quiet, beautiful street in the old city, there is a house with a strange story. This is the Basilisken House at Schönlattengasse 7, and on its facade, there is a fresco and a small stone statue that commemorate a local legend. The story takes place in the year 1212, when a basilisk, a mythical creature that could kill with its gaze, was said to be living in the well of this house. The creature was terrorizing the neighborhood, turning people and animals to stone. A brave baker's apprentice came up with a clever plan, polishing a mirror until it shone, and lowering it into the well. The basilisk saw its own reflection, and was instantly turned to stone by its own deadly gaze. The statue on the house is a permanent reminder of this strange and fanciful piece of Viennese folklore. High on a hill overlooking Schönbrunn Palace and its magnificent gardens, stands the Gloriette, a grand and elegant structure composed of an arcade of arches topped with an imperial eagle. It looks as though it should have an important function, perhaps as an observatory or a royal residence, but the Gloriette has no practical purpose at all. It was built in 1775 for one reason only: to be beautiful. It was designed as a temple of fame, a monument to glorify the power of the Habsburg dynasty, and to celebrate a recent military victory. Its other function was purely aesthetic, as it was built to be a dramatic focal point in the garden's design, something beautiful to look at from the palace below. It is a monument to the idea that sometimes beauty is its own justification. In the heart of Vienna, there is an area known as the Fleischmarkt, or meat market, a name which suggests a history of butchers and slaughterhouses. The area, however, has no particular connection to the sale of meat. The name is the result of a historical misunderstanding, a slow corruption of a word over time. The area was originally the home of the city's Greek merchants, who had settled in Vienna in the 18th century, and the neighborhood was known as the Griekenviertel, or Greek Quarter. In the local Viennese dialect, however, the word for Greek, Griechen, sounded very similar to the word Greece, which means semolina, or grits. Over time, this association with food, combined with a bit of linguistic drift, somehow transformed the name into Fleischmarkt. It is a reminder that the names of places can have their own strange and unpredictable histories. The Danube Tower is a symbol of 1960s elegance and calm, its rotating restaurant and observation deck offering peaceful, panoramic views of the city. It seems like the last place you would expect to find an extreme sport. For a few months each year, however, the tower becomes a place of high adrenaline, home to one of the most spectacular bungee jumping platforms in the world. From a height of 152 meters, thrill seekers can throw themselves off the side of this graceful landmark. For a few terrifying seconds, they plummet towards the Danube and the park below, before the cord catches them. It is a strange and startling juxtaposition. The quiet, contemplative space of the observation deck, and the screaming thrill of the jump happening just outside the window, a small seasonal rebellion against the tower's otherwise calm demeanor. Tucked away in a small, easily missed courtyard in Vienna's first district is a small and beautiful secret known as the Schneckenbrunnen, or snail fountain. It is a delicate Art Nouveau fountain, created in the early 20th century. While other fountains in Vienna are grand and monumental, this one is intimate and whimsical. The fountain is made of bronze and features intricate metalwork depicting snails, frogs, and other small creatures climbing up a column of plants, with water trickling gently from the top to create a quiet, peaceful sound. It is not a major landmark, and it is not in any of the main guidebooks. It is the kind of small hidden treasure that rewards slow, aimless wandering, a reminder that in a city of grand gestures, sometimes the most beautiful things are the small, quiet ones. At the turn of the 20th century, the artist Gustav Klimt was commissioned to create a series of paintings for the ceiling of the University of Vienna's Great Hall, with the themes of philosophy, medicine, and jurisprudence. When Klimt unveiled his work, however, it caused a massive scandal. The paintings were dark, sensual, and deeply pessimistic. His depiction of philosophy was a swirling mass of confused and suffering humanity, while his medicine featured a skeleton and a nude woman, representing the triumph of death. The university faculty was horrified, rejecting the paintings as pornographic and perverse. The works were never installed and were eventually sold to a private collector, only to be tragically destroyed in a fire during World War II. All that remains are a few black and white photographs, a ghostly record of an artistic vision that was too radical for its time. In a busy southern district of Vienna, surrounded by traffic and modern buildings, stands a strange and lonely stone column. This is the Spinnerin am Kreuz, or the Spinner at the Cross, a masterpiece of late Gothic stonework, an intricately carved spire that dates back to the 15th century. It once stood far outside the city, marking the boundary of Vienna's jurisdiction, and was the last thing a condemned prisoner would see before their execution, as this was a place for public hangings. Its name comes from a legend about a woman who sat here, spinning thread, waiting for her husband to return from the Crusades. Today, it has been swallowed by the city, standing as a beautiful and somber monument from another time, a silent witness to centuries of change, now stranded in the middle of a modern road. To truly understand Vienna, you have to listen closely, for the city has its own unique dialect, Wienerisch. It is a version of German that is so distinct, it can be almost incomprehensible to outsiders, even other German speakers, characterized by a soft, melodic and almost sing-song intonation. The vocabulary is a rich and colorful mixture of words from German, Yiddish, and the various languages of the old Austro-Hungarian Empire. It is a dialect perfectly suited to the city's character, full of sarcastic, ironic, and often untranslatable words that capture the famous Viennese, grant, or grumpiness. To hear two locals conversing in pure Wienerisch is to hear the city's history, humor and soul, expressed in a living, breathing language that is all its own. In the heart of Vienna, there is a bridge that does not cross water. The Hohe Brücke, or High Bridge, is an elegant Art Nouveau structure made of green ironwork, but instead of spanning a river, it spans another street. It crosses a deep, canyon-like street called the Tiefer Graben, which means deep ditch. This strange piece of urban geography is a remnant of an ancient stream that once flowed through this area. The bridge was built to connect two higher-level streets, Wiplinger Strasse and Markurelstrasse, allowing traffic to pass over the ditch without having to go down and up again. It is a clever and beautiful solution to a peculiar urban problem, a bridge that exists not because of a river, but because of the ghost of a river, a memory of water that is still written in the shape of the city. During the construction of the Stephansplatz subway station in 1973, workers made an incredible discovery. 12 meters below the modern street, they broke into a space that had been lost for centuries. The Virgilkapelle, a complete Gothic chapel from the 13th century. The chapel had been built as the lower level of a larger church that was demolished in the 18th century. When the church was torn down, the lower chapel was simply filled with rubble and forgotten, remaining hidden and perfectly preserved for 200 years. Today, you can visit this subterranean world by entering through the subway station, where you will find yourself in a silent, stone space. The ancient arches and the original floor markings are illuminated by modern museum lighting, a powerful, direct connection to the medieval city, a secret that was waiting to be rediscovered. The Vienna Fire Brigade Museum is located in a beautiful old building on the square known as Am Hof. It is a fascinating museum, full of vintage equipment and stories of heroic rescues, but its location holds a particular, poignant significance. The museum is housed in a building that was constructed on the very site of the Ring Theatre, the theatre that burned down in the catastrophic fire of 1881, a tragedy that killed almost 400 people. That fire was the single event that led to the professionalization of the city's firefighting services. The museum, therefore, does not just occupy a random spot. It stands on the very ground where the need for its existence was so tragically demonstrated. It is a quiet, permanent and very specific reminder of the event that changed everything for the city's firefighters. High up in the Vienna woods, there is a public swimming pool, with what is arguably the most beautiful view in the city. This is the Boulevard. From the edge of its infinity pool, you can look out over a breathtaking panorama of the entire city of Vienna, sprawling out below you. It is a legendary spot, a place where the urban and the natural meet in a spectacular way. The pool's name, however, is a bit of a puzzle. Krapfen is the German word for a donut, Waldel means a small forest, and Bad means pool. So, the name of this elegant and sophisticated swimming spot literally translates to the Donut Forest Pool. No one is quite sure where the name came from, but it adds a layer of quirky, unpretentious charm to this otherwise glamorous location. The area known as Steinhofgrunde is now a beautiful public park, a place for picnics and walks with a wonderful view of the city. It was once part of the grounds of a large psychiatric hospital, but in one part of this park, there is a small and deeply poignant memorial. It consists of 772 vertical steel poles, standing in neat rows. This is the Spiegelgrund Memorial, and it stands on the site of the former Spiegelgrund Clinic, where the Nazis carried out their child euthanasia program. Between 1940 and 1945, at least 772 children who were deemed physically or mentally imperfect were murdered here. Each steel pole represents one of those lost lives. The poles are lit from within, and at night they create a field of soft, individual lights, a quiet, somber and deeply moving tribute to the victims of a horrific crime. Our walk through Vienna is coming to an end. Wherever you've drifted to, you don't need to come back. There's nothing more to listen for tonight. Sleep well.